I'm angry.
He's angry.
I'm angry. I'm angry for multiple reasons.
Mm.
Reason number one, there's a leech in our friend's life
Mm-hmm.
that just we can't seem no amount of salt in the world can get rid of this leech.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we talking about this?
It's in. Can we keep it in?
Doesn't matter.
It's not like he's gonna hear it anyways. So that's thing number one that I'm upset about.
Mm-hmm.
Thing number two that I'm upset about. So there's three things. Thing number three concerns both of you. Thing number two that I'm upset about. I just played a soccer game. We were up 3 guys for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game.
Versus 8?
It was 11 versus 8. While it was 11 versus 8, we scored the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
Then they tied us. Then it was us and a man up, so they got 2 more players on the field.
Mm-hmm.
They went up to 2-1. We finished the first half down 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the game 4-3. So that's the reason number 2 I'm angry.
Do you have those new glasses? I've never seen you wear those.
These are my old ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why aren't you wearing your new ones?
I wear these when I play soccer because they're kind of messed up. So
Where
like, I don't care if they.
Why are you wearing them now?
I just change them
Mm-hmm.
out, I guess. Reason number 3 why I'm so angry. Airbnb hosts really can be pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I got an email today, and this is what the email reads. Hello, Patrick. Has filed. Please cut out the name, Matt. Has filed.
The one that we went to?
Second place.
Has filed a complaint about a broken window crank, and he asked that Airbnb support mediate the situation. You can either email us with your side of the story and whatever. I didn't read the full email, but it was something about documents or like evidence or whatever. Or we'll give you a call tomorrow at 1 p.m. And we can hash it out over the phone. I just responded. I was like, yeah, I'll pick up tomorrow. We can talk tomorrow over the phone.
Wasn't it already dealt with the whole situation? Like they called you didn't that happen already?
Well, he put a request through Airbnb.
Yeah.
For $250
For a $7
for a window crank that's worth $7 to $10, not $250. Literally scumbag move.
Mm-hmm.
You can deny it on Airbnb, but then the host has the right to ask Airbnb support to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's done. So, yeah. I'm just going to say one sentence to the guy who calls. His name's John or something. Be like, hey, John, how are you doing today? I'm good, Patrick. How about you? Quick question, John. Go ahead, Patrick. How much is a window crank worth? I don't know, Patrick. Well, we can look it up on Amazon right now. I have Amazon open right now. A pack of 3 is around $20. How much is Nazbour asking for? Oh, on my file it says he's asking for $250, Patrick.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Hang up.
Good. Exactly. So
the whole situation screams of him wanting to get the refund back.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's almost exactly how much we saved when we
Literally, it's
complained
almost
about a
exactly,
broken dock and
It's-
stuff. It was
It's
like
$30 off.
I don't even
$37
understand
off.
what Airbnb could still be. Because first of all, to me, it's as simple as he has no proof we did it, so he can't pin it on us. So it's an open and shut case. However, if we wanted, and this is what I told you on the phone, like right after we got back from the cottage, which was, it might just be for the sake of $10. It might just be, it's more trouble than it's worth to like fight it than it would be to just be like, here's the $10 for your fucking window crank.
So,
which is also, again, can't pin it on us, can't prove it on us. But if it makes everybody happy, here's $10, whatever.
That might be the logical, cool-headed way to go about it.
Sure.
I'm not giving him a penny. I'd sooner want to
But
get
that's not-
banned from Airbnb completely off the app than give him a single penny.
How is it logical to give him money if we absolutely didn't do it and there's no proof of it?
If Airbnb support, if they somehow yield, okay, you guys have to give him $10.
But I'm saying,
Even though
how's that logical if there's no proof?
If it somehow gets that point, just allow it. If it somehow gets that
they
point.
provide proof?
If however it happens, that's the conclusion. They say, okay, you guys are in the wrong.
We're not going to make you.
$10.
We're not asking you to pay $250. We're asking you to pay $10.
However it happens, if it gets to that point, I'm not going to give them anything. I'm not going to give them a single dollar.
Because there has
They
to
can
be,
ban me from Airbnb.
but because there has to be proof. You can't just be like, hey, there's no proof, but we still got to make you pay. No, you give me proof and then I'll pay it. We talked to everybody. No one said that they broke anything. Show me a picture or show me anything, and then we'll pay it if it happens. Also, even if he sends him a text of an image of the broken thing, who's to say he didn't break it himself afterwards and then send him a picture?
Mhm.
Like, how do you prove that it was done during the time that we were there for fucking
Yeah.
2 days?
Yeah.
So
So, life's going good right now.
You sure about that?
Life's going really good right now.
as a backgrounder, the guy who
Coming in hot today.
the guy who wants 250 from us is doing that because his dock was broken and messed up, and so we ended up getting a partial refund for our stay there. 'cause it
And he
was
got a
dangerous.
penalty for
That's right.
his negligence.
Yeah, and on the ad everything
can
looked
use that
perfect, and then there's like a bunch of broken stuff in person. Anyway. So yeah.
So you're sure life's going good? You
life's
came in
going
hot
great.
today.
Life's going great. I mean, I had a good time at this other cottage.
I was gonna say, how was your weekend?
Who gives a shit?
Crystal Beach is it's so beautiful.
Where is it?
Boys. Lake Erie
Mm.
on the Niagara side.
Mm.
Yeah, it's so nice, dude. We were literally swimming last night around 7 to 8:30 ish, almost 9. It was just super dark out. We're in the water. The waves are kind of strong, and literally there's a lightning storm in the middle of the lake, like far away from us. We can't hear any thunder, so we thought we were good. But yeah, we were just watching the lightning.
Smart.
Huh?
Smart.
Yeah, we were just watching the lightning in the distance. It looked so cool. We were playing football in the water.
Mm.
It was a good time,
Yeah.
and it wasn't cold. Like
Did you
it
get-
was nighttime. It wasn't cold.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you share a kiss with anyone while you watched the thunder?
I didn't share a kiss, but I was holding someone.
Oh yeah, who?
Mm.
Kareem.
Mm.
I was holding him
Oh,
while we were watching the lightning.
that's nice.
That's
Yeah.
cute. And I assume you spent the other 48 hours just screeching like a banshee at the top of your lungs.
Yeah, so we were obviously playing music in the Airbnb while we were playing games and stuff. Songs would come on, we'd sing along. The second night, we went to a bar near the area. There was a live band playing. They were playing bangers. We were going crazy, singing along, dancing. They were called Black Sheep. They said to search them up on Instagram. I never actually did. Maybe I'll do it after the show. But yeah, after they played Sweet Caroline, and it was their last song of the night. The entire bar was yelling, "Black Sheep, Black Sheep!" But those guys felt like rock stars that night, dude. The whole bar going crazy, exploding for them. It was so fun.
Yeah, bar shows are fun because, like, I know here in town at one of the pubs, there's like a band that plays there sometimes, which like we've been there for, and it's like fine and whatever. But that's not so much what I'm
The Irish
talking
pub?
about. Yeah, it's
We've been
not-
there for a band.
No, we were
we've been there while like whatever group of guys they get to come in and play songs on like a Saturday night or whatever.
Never experienced that.
All right. Anyways,
You did? I'm pretty sure I was there with. It was like me, Matty, Varsh.
yeah, you were definitely for real, for sure, actually there.
Yeah, I think you were.
But anyways, this is besides the point. Like a few weeks ago, Varsh's buddy Cam, I forget who it was. I think cousin is like in a band and like they're on Spotify and whatever. I believe they were called The Commune, if memory rings a bell. But it was like them and these two other groups all playing in like a bar, basically in Toronto. But it wasn't it's not like it was a bar that had just like a spot up against a fucking wall. Like they had an actual back room that was like a venue of sorts. Like it was an actual stage and they had like sound systems or whatever set up. And that was a lot of fun because it was very like small and intimate and, as fun as like a live, when you're at fucking like ACC Scotiabank there watching like a band play there and it's like tens and thousands of people. It's like that's obviously very cool too. But there's something to the intimacy of a little bar show. Why do you look so
You feel
confused?
connected with them at a bar show?
Well, I would assume it's the same with seeing like stand-up comedy. Like, of the 3 stand-up shows I've ever seen, Bill Burr was at Scotiabank, and as cool as that was, like you're looking at him and he's like this big from how far back you are. Like you're really just seeing him on the screens. Whereas
not
like
bawling like that. You couldn't get some of the front
no,
seats. You're not
but
bawling.
like whereas when we went and saw Tom Segura in Kitchener, that was like a much more
That was so cool.
intimate show.
we were near the front, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were like
we were
middle.
Like, we were like,
middle.
we were like 5 or 6 rows back.
Yeah, like that.
That close?
Like within 10 for sure.
That
Within
was
10
like
for
a-
sure, right?
Like we were like I could have, if I had a bottle of water, which I think I did, I could have easily hit him.
You could have hit
He
him.
was right there.
Yeah, like
assaulted
that
him.
was a much more intimate show. And here in town, when Sean Majumder came, and I don't know if you guys know him, but he's like a Canadian dude who's on TV and does stand up and shit. But he came like years ago when I was like a kid, and me and a couple buddies went because his parents and my parents all went together because they had like tickets or whatever, and that was just at the Arts Center here in town. And that we were like the front fucking row, but it was the same thing where it's like a smaller, like theater kind of thing. It's not a sports stadium.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Tom Segura. We miss you over here in Canada. Come back.
I think
Do a show.
I think he does come back regularly.
Oh, when was
I
the last
think.
time he was back?
I don't know. I mean, I think recently he did a European tour, so
Oh,
maybe he
cool.
hasn't been back since last year when we went.
There's also
We
like
did not go last year.
Like 2
did
years
we?
ago?
Was it 2? Or
I
was
think
it
it was last
3?
year.
Was it 4?
Was it last
Mm.
year?
I can't remember.
it all blends together. There's also like a million different comics coming
Mm.
through the like Toronto at any given point. You know, like if there's people you want to see, and I imagine not all of them are like $200 fucking
I don't know.
Burr Gervais tickets.
I don't know how much we paid, but I think it was pretty reasonable. I think it was within 100.
You're the one that bought the tickets. I can't remember what it was.
Oh,
Remember you?
I think I only had 2 tickets at this point.
Yeah.
Didn't I? Because it wasn't a situation that like my ex and I got 2 tickets.
Yes.
But then we had a third.
Yeah, so I think someone bought a third because I didn't have 3.
No, but it ended up being the case that you had a third. Remember, it was a happy surprise.
Oh,
Like,
by
my God,
accident.
by accident.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. So we didn't pay anything. Well, actually, I paid.
You did, yeah.
That's fine.
Hell yes, dude. But yeah. Anyways.
So then, yeah, Matt was able to come.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wait, or was I able to come? I can't remember.
No, I was able to come because at
Oh,
one
okay.
point you two were gonna go,
Okay.
and then when there was like a third ticket, it's like, oh, I'll come too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, that's all I got. It's only been a few days since we did this, so you know,
Mm.
Has it?
not much has happened.
Has it only been a few days? When was the last time we did this?
2 days ago?
Thursday,
No, 3 days ago.
Oh.
right? Was it Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was
Friday,
Thursday.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, because it was after one of my long days at work.
This is gonna be an ASMR episode for me today.
Oh my god,
My voice feels better when I talk like
Oh
this.
my god, it's gonna be an ASMR.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, let's get into it. Welcome back to episode 74. That's right. Is 74 an important number? I don't know. Of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually nothing. If you like the show, please like, share, subscribe. We're everywhere, and we're on the road to 100 subscribers at the time of recording.
We are on the road.
I believe right now, 86. I, as always, am 1/3 of your hosting crew, Mr. Matthew Urso. And I am joined by, as always, Mark and Patrick. Patrick, I believe you're starting. Take us away.
So my topic is
Oh, Jesus.
Out cold.
Just assaults Mark. And on camera.
that'll be a clip. That's it. 2 seconds.
That's it. We have photographic evidence of you.
Okay,
committing a
so
crime.
follow my lead here. Okay.
Mhm.
Suppose
Suppose.
you are with your significant other.
Sure.
Suppose you have a significant other. Okay?
Sure.
I love that. I love that hypothetical.
Okay. And let's say this significant other had tickets to a really popular artist. For the sake of argument, let's say Taylor Swift.
Okay.
She won a lottery. She bought 4 tickets at $150 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this was months and months ago. As the concert date approaches, the tickets skyrocket in value. Say they're around $6,000 to $10,000 per ticket. That's what they're
Goodness.
going for right now. That's what they're going for on the market. What do? Do you try to convince your girl to take the profit? Or there's no or. I guess she just goes. Just doesn't
You're
flip 'em.
saying her and I have 4 tickets.
She has 4 tickets. She paid for all the tickets. She's going with her friends or whoever she decides to go with. She has 4 tickets and she intended on going without you,
With 3 other friends.
with 3 other people.
Oh, in that case, do whatever you want.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't urge her to, let's say they're at $10K per ticket. You wouldn't urge her to take that profit. They're all under her name.
I guess, but in the scenario you're painting, unless she bought these tickets without the other 3 knowing, like if she
She did. She won a lottery.
so she just has 4 tickets, $150, she hasn't told anyone yet.
No, she's told people.
Okay, so then therein lies the problem. If she's
Okay.
already told people,
Okay.
hey, if Varsha's told 3 of her friends, we're going to this concert together, the 4 of us, and then leading up to it, she's like, actually, I'm still gonna go, but the three of you aren't because I want like.
No. That's not like she would sell all of them. Is what I'm saying. Take all the profit.
So you can't like, what do they call it? A la carte it. It's just all or one.
You can a la carte it, but that the scenario. I mean, sure, we can go with that, but the scenario I was painting.
If she hadn't said anything to anybody, I'd be like, you go, bring a friend, pocket the other 2 tickets.
Okay.
But the scenario you're painting of she's already told 3 people, they've lined it up, it's a planned thing, then she could try, but unless the friends are like really understanding.
Yeah.
I don't get the point of this scenario.
Just curious to know how you guys would react.
Would
you convince her to sell just one ticket, then her ticket, take $10,000, take 10, however much money it is?
I think it.
Thousands and thousands of
The
dollars.
only way I would, but in the scenario you're painting, the tickets have gone up to that, so even what I'm about to say is null and void. Because like the only other thing I was gonna think of is if she can somehow like, if she's paid $150 for each of these, she's $600 in the hole. If she could somehow like, or let's just take her $150 ticket. If Varsh could sell that for like 10 grand, and then somehow get another ticket for like 8. So that she's still making like, let's say 2 grand, give or take, in profit, and she gets to go do the show. Then I guess maybe do that. But if the tickets are going for 10, then like, what's the odds you're gonna find one 2 grand?
Yeah.
Lesser. Also, $10,000 for a fucking ticket to anything.
It's insane.
Is fucking bananas.
How crazy is it that they're only going up. As the show approaches, her show here approaches. The tickets are skyrocketing. They continue to skyrocket in value.
Fucking list
from 150 to upwards of 10K is insane.
The list of people I would pay $10,000 to go see for a couple hours is a very small list.
Yeah. Okay. So now put yourself in that scenario. You have the tickets. You have the tickets. What are you going to take the profit? Would you sell all your tickets?
It depends.
Easily, not a second thought, right?
Yeah.
It depends on the show.
Unless I promise people that they would come.
Okay.
I feel like Matty was saying if I didn't like really guarantee anybody that they'd be going, I'd sell all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
I don't care how much I like an artist, like 40 grand or whatever is insane. That could change.
Okay, so you're saying you don't care how much you like the artist,
No,
and you're saying it depends on the artist.
To me, it depends on
I'm
2 things. It depends on if I've told anyone. Because again, if I told you 2 and Malcolm, hey, I got us tickets to X show, I would feel like a shitbag being like, hey, actually, like, I'm not going to give you guys these tickets and I'm going to sell them and, like,
or
pocket all the money.
You could be like, hey, even though I guaranteed you guys that we'd go, why don't we sell it and then we can go on a 2-week long, all expenses paid Vegas trip and we can fucking go every fine dining restaurant with this 20 grand and then we can pocket 20 grand together.
Well, that would be my only other thing is if I maybe phrased it to you guys as like, listen, I'm going to sell, let's say it's $10,000 a ticket, which is again fucking incomprehensible to me. The only thing I could think of to you guys to maybe make it like worth your while to not go see the show is like, listen, I'm going to sell 3 of these tickets and pocket it, but the 4th one I'm going to sell, and that 10 grand, the 3 of you split like, you know, $3,300 a pop kind of thing. So it's like, you know, that would be, and I wouldn't do that without telling you guys. Like I would pitch that to you guys of like, do you want to keep the tickets and we go to the show, or take $3,300 basically?
I think the fact that I would in almost no scenario still go to the show speaks to the fact that I don't think I'm at a place in life where I could afford to do shit like that. Like, or yeah, like I got to take the money at this point versus when I'm older and I'm established in my career and I have like some decent savings and stuff like that. Then I would go on like, then I would be like, you know what? Money isn't everything. I have a decent amount saved anyway. Like I could go to the show and not feel like I blew it.
Yeah.
But at this point, like with how expensive everything is and I'm still, you know, working at a mall and shit, like that would be life-changing money for me. Like 40 grand. I could like get a new car. I could pay off all my student debt with that money alone.
Yeah.
So like no like fun concert experience is worth that much to me at this moment.
Okay.
The other thing to me I was saying is it depends on what the show is.
Okay.
Because if it's like, and I guess this doesn't apply to you guys in this scenario more, but it's like, let's say I got the 4 of us like Gorillas tickets or something that for some reason we're going for that much. It's like, well, I've seen them twice already. I'll take $40,000 instead of seeing them for like a third time. But it depends on the show. If it was like, I mean, obviously it's impossible because this was like 2008 or some shit, but like the Live Aid concert where like Pink Floyd, the four of them played together for the first time in how many decades? And that was the last show they ever did live because then Rick Wright died. Same with Rush. Only saw Rush twice. It was the Clockwork Angels tour and then their 40th, like the R40 40-year tour. I wouldn't, like in hindsight, trade 4 Rush tickets for that show for the world because that was the last, like Neil Peart, the drummer, died and that's it. Like it's over. So it's like if I hadn't gone to see them, and I guess you could also make the claim it's like, but you've seen them once, you're seeing them a second time, but it's like, you get what I'm saying, where it's like that was the last time they will ever play together ever for all of history. And it's like, to me, that is infinitely more special than like the 40 grand. Obviously 40 grand where I'm at in life right now would be dope, but it's like the same way I think about comic books, where it's like, I don't have a single comic book that I own right now over maybe $200 tops of like all the shit that I've got lying around at home. Maybe I think the most expensive one that my dad got, which like he's already sort of pseudo passed on to me, is there's like this Kiss in like the 80s or whatever did this like big Marvel comic, but the whole like sell of it at the time was that they each took their blood and like poured it into like the ink thing at Marvel Comics. So like every copy of that comic sold, like a little bit of their blood is in the fucking ink that they, you know, printed it with and whatever, because it's fucking rock and roll. And I think my dad got that comic for maybe like $300-400 because it's pretty good condition. But anyways, I'm getting in the weeds here. The point I'm trying to drive at is like, if I ever had, you know, a comic that was worth like $5,000 somehow dumped in my lap, if I was one of these people who goes to a garage sale and like somebody has a fucking like $5,000 issue that they're selling for $2 because they don't know what it is, and I make out of there like highway robbery, having it is more valuable to me than the money of it. So to the concert thing, not only does it depend on like who I've told and what I've said to you guys or whatever, but it also depends on like the show and like how significant it is.
Yeah. This argument was had by 2 people in my life recently, and it seemed at first to me like a no-brainer.
Your great aunt Samir and Joe from work.
There you go.
Had that conversation.
Exactly. And it seemed like a no-brainer to me. And then I sat and thought about it, because it's like, yeah, it's where we're at in life. 40 grand, it'll like help you out a lot. It can help set you up strongly for the future.
Sure.
But then I was like, okay, this person really wants to go see Taylor Swift. They've been having voices pleading with them, take the money, take the money, take the money.
Mm-hmm.
You need the money, take the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to think to myself, okay, let me try and think of an analogous scenario for myself where I wouldn't sell the tickets. So I thought to myself,
watching
okay,
a Liverpool game.
if it was like, for example, the World Cup final,
Sure.
I don't think I would give those tickets away for that amount of money. Or I don't really know what amount of money would make me give that up. But
That's what I'm saying.
to
It
see a World
depends.
Cup final.
But what I'm getting at is like, even what's like the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
Like for example, like watching, like a UFC event at Madison Square Garden, like a huge pay-per-view event, like
Watching Sean O'Malley defend his belt.
yeah,
Yeah.
and at the Sphere in September at Noche UFC, like
Yeah.
that would be an unbelievable experience. But at this point, even now, I would not do it.
Okay.
Like again, like I would, that sort of shit I'm planning on doing and seeing UFC events and going to concerts and doing stuff that like, to me, I would be financially irresponsible if I didn't take the opportunity to make that much money and save it for myself and set myself up, as opposed to like having this amazing experience now. I can have amazing experiences later when I'm in a better position to have them.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I understand people will be like, oh, but the experience is more valuable than the money. But it's like, in general, I agree. But I think at this point, it's the opposite for me right now.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
because shit is so expensive these days, like I think the money's the priority right now.
Yeah.
And then experience, like the older you get, the more you can have crazy awesome experiences. Like think of like Malcolm's parents, for example, like how like they go to Florida all the time and like have great vacations all the time and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I doubt they were doing that when they're 20 because they're trying to work and save money and set their family up and stuff like that. So I think that's like, I just think about it that way. But I know what you mean. Like, it would be hard to be like, no, I'm not going to watch the UFC pay-per-view even though I've been wanting to watch them my whole life. Like,
It also depends on the money too, because the scenario you're painting is 40 grand, for example, say, which is a lot of money, especially in our current situations, but it's not really like a life altering. Like, it's not like I'm going to take the 40 grand and be like, time to move out and buy a house.
It's not that amount of money by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a solid amount of money.
Yes,
Like I said,
I get that. To me, the reason I bring that up is like, again, because you were painting like an analogous scenario. If you told me take 40 grand or Game 7, Scotiabank Arena, Stanley Cup playoffs, Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm there 9 out of 10 times instead of taking the 40 grand because it's like to be there live and let's say watch them win a fucking cup and just weep openly in front of however many other people are there, and like just the electricity in that building is worth it to me in that scenario than 40 grand. If you came to me, and obviously I know this is like so facetious and doesn't make any sense, but if you were like $10 million or Leafs Game 7, blah, blah, it's like, I'll watch it from home on my new 100-inch TV that I just bought with the $10 million. Like, obviously there is like a cap to these things.
Yeah.
It's just in like, in the tools you've given me to play with. Yeah. It's like 40 grand is like it could go either way of like, you know, let's go see fucking, I don't know, like,
but to me, like
a band we all like. All right, maybe I take the 40 grand. Here's like a life experience you'll never get again. It's like, for 40 grand, I think I can let that go.
Well, how do you know I feel like it depends on what the thing is, but like, for example, with me with the UFC, like, I know there's going to be hundreds of other UFC events. It's like the biggest MMA company in the world. Like, they do events weekly. So if I pass up on something now, I know that there's going to be another thing that's equally as good or better or more different later. So to me, I'm thinking like with that 40 grand, I could, like I said, like pay off my entire student debt and have plenty to spare to buy a new car and to like invest a bunch of money. Like, I could do all that with 40K, and then I would have like literally no debts left after that. So like, to me, that sounds more worth it. And then I'm going to start working full time in the next few years, make money, and then I could do these experiences when I'm a little bit older. I just have to, to me, I just think about it like it's like delayed gratification. Like, I just got to hunker down and do the more responsible thing now, and then I can have more fun and be kind of have these experiences later when I'm in a better position to do so, type thing. I would just feel like I wouldn't regret going to the event necessarily, but I would feel like, that money could have been like life altering for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
But yeah, so
yeah,
I think ultimately to this individual who's refused to take the money, I think to her this experience is like what a World Cup final would be to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like maybe like, and just to make it even more clear, like Egypt being in the World Cup final.
Yeah,
that's something I would never ever pass up on.
But we're talking about okay, but the Taylor Swift
and
concert
I think that might be to her how she's
I don't
seeing
think
it.
so.
I don't think I might be able
because
to see Taylor Swift.
the Taylor Swift comes to Canada, I'm sure, every once in a while anyway.
Yeah.
So
but
to
like
me, it's not analogous.
It's like super difficult to get tickets, kind of thing. She
Sure.
won a lottery to get those tickets.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Is this based on a true story?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to me, it's like I don't think I know they're hard to get tickets, but like it's not. It's certainly not impossible to get them in a different year.
Like
you know
it might.
Whereas
be
like Egypt in the World Final is like 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
I'm sure the odds to get the tickets are way higher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like, to me, I think about the same thing with the UFC. It's like I could absolutely get tickets a different year.
Yeah.
But if it's like a once in a lifetime thing of like, like they haven't been to the Stanley Cup final, the Leafs, in like, I don't know, 50 years or whatever.
Exactly.
You might never ever see that. I get that. But like for me, I'm not into like hockey like that to do that, and I'm not into any specific artist enough to do that. It's UFC for me, but there's no UFC event that's like, I don't know, like once in a lifetime. Like there's amazing ones all the time. So that, to me, I don't feel like I'm missing out on a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah. But I understand if they see it like that, I get it.
That's the closest thing I can get my.
It's like, why don't you just go see Taylor Swift like in 5 years in a different place? You know what I'm saying?
But I hear what you're saying, and it could very well be the case that you do that. But again, it's like, does she want to run that risk? Like, okay, first of all, is she going to be performing again, kind of thing? Like, she's in her mid-30s at this point.
Taylor.
So
is this person you're talking about even going to be alive in 5 years? Like, that's the thing where it's like,
what?
The person you're talking about going to the concert, not Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah.
Like, are they
Maybe-
even like that's not
yeah.
a
It's not given.
guarantee.
This is true as well.
So it's like, to me, it's just, I get,
Yeah.
there's so many variables. It's tough to know. I would have to know the specific situation. Cause like I'm saying
The
again,
bottom, yeah.
if it's like something that's like, would be really awesome, but like, maybe I take the money.
The bottom
I think-
line is the bottom line I think is what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's the bottom line.
Because to me, like,
So
yeah, I get that. Because to me, I'm sure, like you said, a lot of people, it's like, this means the world to them.
yeah.
This event would mean the world to them.
Yeah.
To me, like, I don't put that like level of intensity into like my hobbies and stuff. Like, I love them, and I would be so happy to do that.
Yeah.
But I would relatively
The
easily
money.
choose a secure life
True.
and paying off my debts over that at the moment.
Yeah.
But if I'm older, again, if I'm older and I have a decent amount of savings and I'm not struggling like that, then like I would easily take the experience because, you know, money comes and goes. I'll make money in a little bit type thing.
Yeah.
But to me now, it's like, I don't know when I'm gonna first get my first real job. Could be a year, could be a couple of years. I don't know. And like it would really help me out now and be like, again, great to set me up type deal. But I get both sides, you know.
Yeah. But yeah,
The ticket dilemma.
the ticket dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was. I was actually surprised that we had a split between you two. That you would take the money and then you would. Yeah. Those. Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool debate.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Patrick.
Let's get to the next one.
Moving on.
Next combo. Next conversation.
Fellas, I'm gonna double dip here with the video game talk, like last week. Last time was music, but I'd like to go back to sort of a sister topic to something Mark did many moons ago about impactful movies. But I'd like to focus on impactful video games
Why are you such a nerd?
that have impacted you in your life. Now, there's a multitude of ways, a plethora, if you will, of ways that you could take this question and define what impactful means to you. But I just wanted to kind of chop it up about some games and get audio from Patrick's knees. So would anybody like to start? Does anybody have anything?
What, like about the video games that have impacted us the most?
Mm-hmm. In a multitude of ways. Like, there could be ones that have influenced you, like, for example, I think there's ones where, like, the story is impactful, or, like, themes of a game or moments of a game have been impactful. But then I think there's also ones that can be impactful to you. Like, for example, in Patrick's case, I would think that Skyrim is a game you consider
You thought wrong, buddy.
pretty impactful.
Nope.
And not necessarily because Skyrim has like the most gripping tale or like anything like that, but more just like what it means to you as like a video game, or like it's your favorite. It's something, you know, that you kind of compare things against, I would assume, in some respects. Or there's like ways, I mean, for me personally, it's like there's games that I've played that have left an impact on me on the sense of like, I would love to create something like this or inspired by this, and not necessarily games, for example. Maybe it's a comic, maybe it's a movie, you know, what have you, but like things that I've played that are either like really cool and it's like, oh, I'd love to make something with like as much style as like, you know, Hotline Miami or like a Hyper Light Drifter, or like some of these games that are like super stylized, or oh, I'd kill to be able to tell a story as enthralling as Red Dead 2 or something like that, you know. So there's a bunch of different ways you could take this. So however you see fit. What are some games you guys got?
I think The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 are like my top impactful games, not just because of like they're just incredible games to play, but then also I think like the story is really beautiful and impactful. Especially like I think both of them for sure. I mean, but especially the first one, like I like the message of like, it's like bittersweet obviously in the ending, but it's like the importance of family and human connection and shit like that. And I like how like in a lot of apocalyptic stuff, they'll like highlight the importance of relationships and friendships and like all different types of relationships through the apocalypse. Like it kind of heightens it and shit.
Yeah, the idea of like if everything's gone to shit, you need each other more than ever.
And I think the fact that, I mean, spoiler alert, it's a very old game, but spoiler alert with Joel, the fact that he like sacrifices the cure to save Ellie, like speaks volumes to the fact that, you know, this girl is like so important to him, And I think it's a beautiful message, but it's also very like obviously in the context of the game, it's sad as well. And the second one is great, and I won't spoil it because I know Patrick hasn't played it and he wants to at some point, I'm sure, right? But the second game, the message of kind of like it kind of hints on themes of like hate and revenge and kind of like more negative things. And it tells a really good story about what can happen when you act on these angry thoughts and these negative thoughts of like wanting to get back at somebody for doing something that hurt you. So those games like thematically and like, yeah, the messages are really beautiful. And then obviously like visually the games are amazing to play. The first one's good. The second one's amazing. And I play those games all the time. They hit me emotionally. I'm always like, I tear up at scenes. Like it's a really, really good couple of games. So yeah, I'd say those are like the most impactful. And then also like we talked about music, but like the music really like moves me as well. So yeah, I really like the themes and messaging from The Last of Us and part 2 as well. So those I think are the most impactful games that I've ever played personally. Yeah.
Patricia,
What do you think, Patrick? What do you think about what I just said?
What do I think about what you said?
Yeah.
I think it was really derivative and uninspired.
Uninspired.
Uninspired and derivative. What are you doing over there?
sorry, I was just responding to our boss.
Well, I guess Mark was too boring for you then.
No, that's why I waited
This was
till he
your
was
question.
done talking to then do
You
what I
realize
needed
this
to
was
do.
your question
Yeah,
to
go
him,
on.
right?
He's going,
Damn screens.
Damn.
No, I
throw,
mean,
throw out a game that impacted you. What's a game that really...
Impactful games.
Like, what's the game that when you play it, you just feel like in your heart, like, this means a lot to me. This game means so much to me. Or maybe you don't have that. In that case, like, what's the top of the list? If it's not that impactful, it's just like the most of the bunch.
I mean, I feel like Matty stole my thunder by saying Skyrim already.
Mm.
I feel
But
like
please.
I'm feeling like I don't want to say that. Because
But
already
you
said
can
it.
say it. Elaborate.
Yeah, be selfish.
What does it mean to you? Where were you at the time? What was
I mean,
life
the
like?
reason why that game was impactful to me was because it really showed me what an RPG was, and to me, in my opinion, it fully embodied and embraced what an RPG is supposed to be. It really allowed me to, on every playthrough, make a character and just be who I wanted to be in that world, and gave me an outlet to escape my life and just have my focus on this other life, in quotes. However unhealthy that may sound at the moment, I don't know.
No, that's fine.
But it's like I think people kind of shit on it, but I think there's a healthy amount of escapism in media that kind of gets shit on unfairly sometimes.
I think it's important to do that. I actually think it's healthier than not doing it at some point. Like, just a little bit of like turning your brain off and having fun in this imaginary world. Like, because if you're always focused on real world problems and stuff, like you could be kind of stressed all the time. You got to just let yourself relax.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, and people talk about like escapism as like, you know, movies and shows and stuff, but you could also like, I don't know if this is considered escapism, but you could like meditate and just like focus on not thinking about stuff. I think that's escaping too.
Yeah.
I was going to throw out another game I like a lot, which is like Bloodborne. And I think Bloodborne isn't impactful in terms of the story because it's a very loose one and you have to be really into the lore, I guess.
It's very lore heavy as opposed to like in your face. Here's what's happening.
Exactly, yeah. So I think for that game, it's impactful because of the challenge of it and because of what it taught me about resilience and stuff. Like after you complete a game like that, you feel so satisfied and so proud of yourself. And it's just such a difficult game. And yeah, I think it's impactful because of how it made me feel about what it taught me about myself and how willing I am to like push past failure, even though it's like so unbelievably frustrating. So yeah, that's like Last of Us for the story impact, and then this one, Bloodborne, for the kind of like challenge impact.
I don't know if this counts, but Chicken Horse.
Sure.
Chicken Horse.
I have a game in a similar vein that I was going to mention, but yes, Chicken
Celeste?
Horse.
Celeste?
No, like a multiplayer thing kind of
Okay.
thing that might be what you're getting.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about multiplayer games too that have impacted us. Like it's really important in our lives.
I've got 2 on the short list, but anything you want to add about Chicken Horse?
Why,
Or
why,
just
is
that
it, why
it's-
is it impactful to you?
As just that it's fun.
Also, it could be that you you hear stories of people like meeting good friends and like partners through games and stuff. So it could be like,
Shout out Florida Driver.
yeah,
Shout out
sure.
Florida.
So you could talk, yeah. So why Chicken Horse for you? Is it because like of the friend bonding, or is it because of like mental stimulation of like planning stuff?
To be honest, and I could be completely misremembering,
Mm.
but the way we competed in Chicken Horse. I feel like there's very few other games that had us competing in that intense. Like we spent hours arguing about shit we've done in that game of like whether it's right to do that or wrong to do that. Or
the only analog I could think of would be like Smash Bros. But that's
Smash Bros. Is
Smash is number one.
Smash is different because it's like directly. Smash is different because you're literally competing against each other as opposed to Chicken Horse, where it's like it's less about everybody else and it's more just everybody else is trying to accomplish the exact same goal. So it's less of like a boxing match and more of like a foot race, just with fucking buzzsaws and moving platforms and shooting hockey pucks. So there's like there's something about it. There's like a little nugget there that separates the two, but I get what you're getting at about the frustrations.
I think in competition and stuff, for me, like the biggest game for that was like FIFA growing up. Like no game ever made me more enraged than FIFA probably. And I also think that I remember one time we were playing FIFA and I swear to God Patrick teared up.
I'm about to tear up right now, dude.
But so FIFA to me was impactful because of just the sheer time I spent on it. It was just like a part of my childhood, you know. But also there's a lot of like great FIFA soundtracks, like FIFA 15, 16, 17, like the set list, like the songs that they have on there is all like such great music. So I feel like it was impactful on me because of it helped like evolve my music taste, and a lot of the shit that I listen to now is like from FIFA. And I kind of like learned about artists and added to my collection and stuff.
Just clicked another game in my brain. This is good.
You're so right about FIFA though. The way I carried my pride and like stress with that game. I don't know how to verbalize it, but I don't know how it was, but every game, everything was on the line. Every single one, everything was on the line, and it was a must-win game.
Which is a very good. I've heard the same mindset from like professional athletes of like even like fighters and shit being like, people will ask them in interviews, is this the biggest fight of your life or is it just another day at the office? Some fighters will be like, oh, it's just another day, like, you know, nothing special. But like most fighters will say that every fight is their biggest fight, and it's like whichever fight is happening is the biggest fight of their life. Because like people use this phrase in fighting. I've heard a lot. It's like you're only as good as your last fight. So even if you went on a 20-fight win streak and you're knocking everybody out, if you did very poorly in the last fight, that's what people remember, you know, and that's what you're judged on. So that's why every performance is like the most important. So like to hold that same energy and like commitment to FIFA is like hilarious. But I did the same thing as well.
It's so funny. We made it so unnecessarily personal.
Yes.
By whenever we met up, Malcolm and I would always do Colombia versus Egypt. So it was more than just a FIFA game. It was
fucking national.
I was representing my country. You know what I'm saying?
You can't let the boys down.
You can't let the boys down. It's like if he wins, I already know it's coming. Oh, Egypt's so shit, dude. Like
the
you're so
entire
garbage.
population of Colombia is gonna spit in the entire population of Egypt's face.
Literally. So that's, dude. I didn't even think about FIFA. I really try my best to block my memories of FIFA out because of the way that I got enraged. No game has made me enraged like that. I can just say that confidently right now.
Yeah, there's several multiplayer things I want to rattle off for somewhat similar reasons, and I personally never had the experience of like meeting someone in like an online game and becoming either like real life friends or even just staying as like online friends. So it's not necessarily that, but like games that come to mind for me is like Call of Duty Black Ops. Zombies, but just the whole thing is like what a seminal thing that was as a kid, because that was right around the time when my brother and I finally got a PS3 and like playing it just every day with like, at that time it wasn't so much like you guys or like school friends or anything like that. Like it was more like a lot of the guys that I knew or was like still playing hockey with and that kind of shit, and just like playing, you know, multiplayer match after multiplayer match and like zombies and all that shit. Like it was just so much fun time spent and like building the sort of camaraderie and the friendships and all that. Like there's just so much from that I look on. And in a similar way, two random games that are much lower on the totem pole but that I definitely look fondly on are Mario Kart DS and
Elementary school.
NHL, I want to say 06 or 07, purely because Mario Kart I had on the DS and that particular NHL game was on the PSP. And like when I was in elementary school and shit, still playing hockey as a kid, when we would have, you know, tournaments like the tournament that we had like in Boston or Pittsburgh, and it was like these fucking 8-hour drives on like a bus or whatever, having those games and then like getting to the hotel and like very early online play and all that shit, especially with handhelds, but like everybody sitting in like the hallway of whatever hotel we were at, all linking like our DSs together, and like 8 people doing like a Mario Kart thing, or like linking your PSP with somebody else and like playing them in like an NHL thing. Like there's something about that that's just so nostalgic and like fun, and like I look back on in a different way. But the sort of granddaddy of multiplayer games that I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention is Overwatch.
Yeah.
Considering
I've very impactful, dude.
I would assume at this point I'd have to check the hour counters.
2K?
2,000 hours of my life probably into this thing, which if you're out there and you think that's sad and pathetic,
I'm gonna calculate.
that's all I have to say.
I want to calculate. Let's calculate how many days that is.
2,000 hours?
That's 83 days.
Jesus. Wow. That's like a few months just straight if you were doing it, fucking eyes bleeding, no sleep. Overwatch is just, it's so funny, and I know you guys have brought this up in the past about when it came out in like 2016, where I was like, and my brother was all up its ass. I was like, I don't give a shit about this fucking thing. Like, I don't want to play this. And then finally trying it and being like,
I'm never gonna let you hear the end of that.
All right, like
You mention that all the time.
It's gonna forever be a thing of like, you don't. Maybe we're having an argument. You don't trust my opinion on it. Remember how you didn't trust my opinion on Overwatch?
And just being like, I don't want to play this, and then finally playing it and being like, oh, Tracer's cool. I'm just going to main her. And then eventually, obviously, because that's the natural progression,
Only play Tracer.
Finding other characters and being like, oh, McCree and like, I guess they don't call him McCree anymore, but like McCree and Roadhog and all these people, like broadening your horizons.
We'd get on your case and be like, dude, like you always play Tracer. Like, that's how I have fun playing the game, guys.
Because
like,
for a while it was just like, I like this character. I like the light, speedy, like gameplay. I just want to stick to this, and like I don't need anything else. And then eventually it became like, and this was also well before like competitive was in the game and like roll queue and all this shit, so it also didn't really matter at first, kind of thing.
The amount of nights we'd play Overwatch, the vibe was fucking awesome, dude. Like when we just play for like hours at a time, and we just like stay up all
and
night
it
just
still
playing
is.
Overwatch.
That's the thing.
So
it
fun.
still is fun. Even like we have periods and times where like we're playing a lot or we're not playing as much or even at all.
Can we start playing again? You guys want to go?
Please. And lately it's been one of those like down times where it's like we haven't really been playing that much. But it is the thing of like, and I eventually, this will be sort of a small nugget eventually of when I get to like, I'd like to do a topic about the pandemic eventually and just kind of reliving that whole shit show.
My life was during the pandemic.
But how fucking important Overwatch was in those first like 3 months when it was no school, no work, no nothing. Everybody's at home. You can't go anywhere.
Checks from the government.
Checks from the government. And it was like, I shit you not, some days like 8 to 10 hours a day just playing video games, and a large chunk of that, sure, there was Uno and Chicken Horse or Dead by Daylight, some of these other things thrown in there.
Late night Uno
And getting fucking beyond furious about Uno. But it was
dude,
just
I
hours.
have the most wins on Uno,
fuck
dude.
yourself.
I have
It
the
was just
most wins on Uno.
hours and
I can't even
hours
catch up at this point.
and hours
We were both close,
of
though.
Overwatch.
You guys were close. I was like 20 behind. Or something.
I see.
It's just there's something about it where it's become this like, I know other people have it, whether, and usually it's like with games of service, whether it's like a Fortnite or a
League of
Rocket
Legends
League
or
or a League, where it's like people have these sort of like forever games in their lives. And Overwatch, who knows if it's going to be that in 10 years from now? I don't know. But it's been 8,
Yeah.
and I'm still playing it, you know, ebbs and flows, sure, but like I'm still playing this game 8 years on kind of thing. So it's like that says something about it. And again, it's that shared camaraderie of like playing with you guys and, you know, having a night where we lose like 4 in a row and we are all seething with rage for an incomprehensible reason. And we're just like, fuck this, we're done. But then having a night where it's like,
Play until we lose. Play until we lose.
Play till we lose. Of just like going on a tear of like 5 games in a row. And also it's like, yes, we've said this before. It's like, yes, there's the fun of like just steamrolling a team, but it's more like the games you remember, the moments you think of, the highlights you like talk about are the like,
Yeah.
it's neck and neck. You know, they push the payload all the way. We push the payload all the way. So now we have to go to overtime. And they only had a minute, and they somehow got it like just shy of 3 fucking points. How did we let them do that with 60 seconds? And now we only have 60 seconds on the clock, and we fucking get all 3 points. And it's like that euphoric like
Dude, I think about
tug of war.
I don't know why I think about like Anubis. Is that the Egyptian map?
Temple of Anubis.
Temple
Yes.
of Anubis when we'd be on the defense, and then they'd get to the very end where it was like the pillars there, and I'd be playing Torb, and I'd set up the turret in that little like back U area, and like so many intense sessions there where they'd be so close to getting it, but we'd barely like win it.
Yeah,
Dude, it's so fun.
Yeah.
So in the realm of multiplayer things, those are just some that I wanted to rattle off real quick.
This might sound stupid, but when I was a kid, this is the last game I'll bring up. When I was a kid, I would say Pokemon was really impactful. Thinking about it, I never had pets. I didn't have any pets when I was younger. Obviously, we got the birds later on, but I didn't have any pets. And to me, my Pokemon were kind of like my pets. I loved them so much, whether it was my Lucario, my Gyarados, my Charmander, evolving it into a Charizard. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the amount of hours I spent on the various Pokemon games I played, yeah, those were the good old days too.
And I want to throw out a game as well where it's like a game that's doesn't really have much of a story. It has like themes and stuff, but it's like very vague and isn't challenging. So it's like kind of different than all the ones I've listed so far. To me, like Abzu is a very memorable game to me because it's just very
The water one?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a very beautiful, like small, short and sweet experience that you go on, and it's like visually amazing, and it just makes you feel so at peace and like I don't know. It's just like a very impactful like experience for me to think that games could be that. I didn't never play a game like that. I've never played a game like that before where it's just like you just go on you just kind of let them take you on this tiny little journey and you have a good time and it's just fun and sweet. You know?
Yeah, that and Journey in a very similar vein are ones I think of.
We gotta talk Telltale though because
I was about to say Varsh and I she beat she was playing it,
The
but I was
Walking
making
Dead?
she finally just beat the first
Did you-
season of
did
The
you
Walking
cry?
Dead. She was bawling her
Yeah, yeah.
eyes out at the end of it, and then she
Yeah.
was like, "Why would you make me play this kind of
Yeah,
thing?"
the first-
And I don't think she wants to play. She's actually playing Detroit Become Human now
Awesome.
at home by herself.
Trader.
But I don't think she necessarily wants to continue with The Walking Dead. I think because I've told her
Wolf
that
Among
she
Us.
might be more interested in like even that might be more up her speed. But I think she would
Life is
maybe
Strange.
give that too. But like Batman or Guardians, those Telltale games to try it just because those like she likes Guardians, she likes Batman. So like those are things that might be thematically and tonally like easier sells for her. The Walking Dead, I think. I just don't. Maybe one day I'll kind of convince her to start the second season, but I think she's kind of good on it. But The Walking Dead for sure is one that's definitely worth mentioning. But one last multiplayer in quotes one I wanted to mention, which actually a podcast I listened to was just talking about it recently, and I don't know how big this was for you guys. Rock Band.
Oh, for sure.
even a little
Guitar
bit.
Hero for me, but for sure.
Not even a little bit.
Rock Band was such an interesting game, and I thought of it when Mark brought up the soundtracks in FIFA, where it's like there's so much music I listen to this day still that
you
came
learn
out of those games.
100%.
And for me with Rock Band, I had the perfect, like all the ingredients went perfect for it, where it's like I was young enough that it was like really cool. You know, I had a couple guitars, I had the drum set, I had a microphone, and it was the thing where before like me and Michaela and Caden and whatever moved schools, when we were still at our original school, every day my dad would pick Michael and I and Michaela and Caden up kind of thing, and we'd all come home after elementary school. You don't really have homework at that time, and anything you do, you'll just fucking do it later or whatever. But we would all come home until Michaela's parents would get home and Caden's parents would get home and like pick them both up. Michaela was just across the street. And the four of us would just play hours and hours of like Rock Band every fucking day after school. And because Rock Band had the thing where you would like make a band and like go on tour, and it was kind of like their version of like a campaign, and that's how you would unlock more songs to just play in like free play. So every time like a new song came up, it was always like, oh, we haven't played this before. But it was just hours and hours of like somebody was always on mic, I was always on guitar. Michael was always on drums. I think Caden probably was always on like guitar too or whatever, because you could do bass. And I think Michaela usually did like the microphone and shit, and it was just fucking like
Don't.
so much fun.
Don't.
No?
Don't try to convince me that you were good at that game.
That I was good?
Yeah.
I was never that good. Michael recently, like in the past few years, because now they have like they've basically like modded it so that you can play Rock Band on like PC and shit. I know there was a time where Michael was playing it and he was playing songs at like fucking expert level and just like playing shit and whatever. But like I never got to that point. I was content to just play it like medium and throw in hard, fuck you the odd time of like, let me see if I can do this song, you know, a little more tricky. But Rock Band and Guitar Hero is adjacent to that too, which I like. But like there's something about Rock Band that was just like such an interesting novelty that's like never really been replicated even by its fucking self when they tried to bring it back in like 2014, 15 or whatever it was, when both Guitar Hero and Rock Band came back within like a year of each other and just kind of was like,
not really.
Like it didn't really stick the landing. Like nobody cared like they did in 2006, 7, 8 kind of thing. So Rock Band's definitely another multiplayer one. Is there anything else you guys wanted to shout out before I wrap up here? Or maybe I'll trigger your memories with some of mine. Honestly, it's also one of those things that this could go on forever of like if you think about it long enough. But in the realm of single player, there's like, you know, so many games to think of. Last of Us 2, Red Dead 2 comes to mind. Some of these games. I was thinking when you were talking about Skyrim, in a very similar vein for me, it is like Fallout 3 in New Vegas that I kind of just lumped together, where it's like, I don't even know. I'd have to really sit and think about it. I don't know what like the first open world thing I played was. I guess it would probably be a game like Ultimate Spider-Man on like the PS2, which is definitely another big touchstone game for me. But it's like, that was an open world game literally, and I know open world games nowadays are like a dime a dozen, but it's like that was an open world game literally, but it was at a time where like an open world game, even like Grand Theft Auto, because I've played through the first three Vice City and San Andreas this year. They're open world, but they're very like
linear.
Not even so much that, it's very like look, don't touch kind of thing.
You can't open any
like
doors,
a lot of this is very much just set dressing. Like obviously it's like, oh cool, I'm Spider-Man, I'm swinging through New York on the fucking PS2. But it's like very, there's not a lot to it.
But that's even same with Spider-Man PS4.
Exactly. Even Spider-Man
open
now,
shit.
like
You
it's
go into the
open
building.
world and it's cool, but it's like it's very like not necessarily like. It's one of those
not
things where
interactive.
people compare it to where they say like, you know, the difference between like an ocean wide but like a puddle deep, and the opposite of like a puddle wide but an ocean deep kind of thing, and the difference between those two. And like Fallout 3 was something where it was like, it's at least one of the first examples I can think of where it's like, oh, I'm in this world where it's like not directing me anywhere. It is just go anywhere, talk to anyone, you know, how am I going to do this quest? Am I going to just like smooth talk my way through it? Am I going to stealth my way through it? I'm just going to brute force guns blazing through it. Am I going to be an asshole and fucking blow up Megaton? Or I'm going to like be a good guy and like stop these fucking raiders from like attacking a small town? Like what? Like there was so much to it. And again, the RPG-ness, to your point with Skyrim, of just like building a character and like speccing it out with all the different skill points. Like there was so much in there to it that I know a lot of people have Fallout 3 as sort of a touchstone, nice open world thing. And I relate to that. Obviously for me, the granddaddy is
Bioshock.
Bioshock. And I guess I would sort of lump together the trilogy and all its little DLC offerings
Infinite for sure.
as sort
for
of a
me.
whole product. But I can't stress enough how it's impacted me in so many ways, like narratively and thematically, when I think about, because those games are so like deep and so political and like philosophical kind of thing. The impact they've had in how I like think about games and compare other games and what I'm looking for in games and like just game design and like all these different things that I, you know, actively kind of think about when I'm playing shit, that all is influenced from it. I remember in high school when we had our nerd club, as Patrick falls asleep, we did a show and tell day, And I remember bringing like my PS3 box of BioShock 1.
Do you feel special?
No. And just bringing it and being like, this is my show and tell item. And I remember like saying to everybody that was there, like, this was my come to Jesus moment, because it's like, it wasn't the first game I ever played, obviously, and it sure as hell wasn't the last, but it was like the first time playing a game where it's like, oh, this is like operating on another level that like up until that time Call of Duty, fucking wasn't doing, or my beloved Medal of Honor games weren't doing, or a Spider-Man game here, or like, a fucking Mario game, or like, all the shit I was playing as a kid. It was so clearly a cut above the rest. And the first time it was like, oh, I don't just play these things as like a hobby or because it's fun, or like I'm playing COD with the boys because it's like bonding or whatever. It was the first time that I can ever think of playing something and being like, oh, this is like art and a medium that I value and like cherish and hold dear and all this kind of shit. And it's like, I'm interested in who the fuck made this, and like, Irrational Games and Ken Levine, like getting into all that shit well before ever thinking about like, a Hideo Kojima or something like that, or a Neil Druckmann and some of these other creative types. So yeah, BioShock is definitely the granddaddy of games for me in that sense. Nice pregnant pause. If you were listening on audio devices or YouTube and not looking at the screen, I hope you thought that your volume or something was fucked up.
Shout out Legion of Geeks.
Shout out Legion of Geeks. I assume it's not running at all anymore.
Why would you assume that?
Well, considering the teacher who was running it with us is also no longer at our
Really?
high school.
I didn't know that.
She did.
No.
Where'd you
I know
go?
her son. In the times I've gone back to our high school, I think for sure the year after we graduated, I think they were still doing it. And maybe with like Miss Evans helping out still.
Livingston.
And maybe Livingston helping out. Shout out the two of them because they were awesome and they helped us out with that. And that was always so much fun. I still think of playing that game Livingston had us playing that wasn't D&D, but that was like D&D adjacent. Where it was like the board and like the chests on the, like I still remember playing that.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, I'm never going to forget being in that teacher's office who ran the club. Because I was in the school play.
Abdullah was there. I remember we're in Mr. Livingston's room playing that game, and Abdullah was a part of the team.
Oh, I'm not talking about that.
What are you talking about?
About Miss Smith?
Oh, like vlog?
I was in her.
I met you in that class. Didn't I meet you in that class?
I'm not talking about any of
I know, but I'm saying I think I met you in her.
Miss
I think that was when we met.
Yeah, that was when we met. I'm never going to forget being in her room, the drama room, I guess. Because I was part of the play, and I sent her a message saying I'm not doing the play anymore.
Oh, yes.
She called me in, and she looks me in the eye, doesn't say anything, but she says, the only thing she says to me was, Patrick, you ruined my weekend. I remember.
Like, that's serious.
She said dead serious, and I smiled and chuckled, and then seeing her face, I quickly registered of like, inappropriate time to be chuckling, like pull yourself together kind of thing.
Yeah, we still have to do a high school and elementary school topic at some point. But anyways, that's all inside baseball nonsense. But yeah, video games. They're very impactful. I had a topic forever ago before you had done the impactful movies thing where I was going to do like movies, games, music, and then maybe like books or TV or like some other fourth thing maybe, or maybe just those three of like pick an impactful one in each of those categories. But because you did movies forever ago,
I ruined it.
No, I was just like, I might as well just break this up into separate things. So we're doing video games now. At some point, I'm sure we'll visit impactful music in the future.
Yeah, don't bother.
Don't bother with it.
Don't even try. Don't even try it.
Cool. What time is it?
It is currently the whopping hour of 9:29, so I guess we'll wrap up here.
It's a good time to wrap up.
If we are going to go pop on over to ye old theater. But yeah, before we go, this has been a nice, quick, easy breezy, fun one, although I did like your ticket dilemma, Patrick. Is there anything else we want to get off our chests before we wrap up here?
Thank you for saying you liked the ticket dilemma.
I
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I was going to do that last time, but I was... That's
too
the one
tired.
I couldn't explain.
Mm.
But I was too tired.
But is there anything anybody else wants to get off their chests?
No, man, not really. I mean, God bless Canada.
God bless America.
God bless these United States. One thing, I don't know why this just popped into my head randomly. I think it's because I was thinking about the beginning when you mentioned, or when I said that we're on the road to like 100 subscribers and whatever. Our friends, who I guess you don't know them, and I only know one of them because I've never met the other.
Well, how are they our friends then?
Our podcast companions over at the Real Talk Podcast. If
What
you
is
like
that?
movies, check out the REEL, as in like a film reel. Real Talk Podcast, who I'd still like to do sort of a crossover with one day, because they've talked about having me on their show to talk movies and like specifically
these people?
Godzilla. One of them is a guy, Matthew, that I went to film school with.
You're Matthew.
Yes, there's another Matthew. There was actually like
Patrick,
4 or
there could
5
be
in our
multiple
program.
Matthews.
There was actually like 4 or 5. Wait till I tell you about Matthew McConaughey. There was actually like 4 or 5 in our program. But him and a buddy of his do this film-centric podcast, and they just hit 5,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So
What a
congrats to them.
milestone.
And just thinking about
How
like,
long? They've been doing it for years and years, right?
I'd have to check.
No, what?
Longer-
Dude, why are you laughing? Why are you making it seem like I'm throwing shade?
Longer
Man, they've
than
been there for
us,
years.
but only like 2 or 3.
Years
maybe.
more than us?
No, like in total.
They've been doing it for 2 or 3 years?
I'd have to. Well, hold on.
You know what we gotta do?
Fiddle.
We gotta
talk
hit. We
for a second.
gotta be niche.
We gotta be niche. Make it about just video games.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Not just about video games, because I don't think that's like a topic we're all equally as interested in, to be honest.
They started, and it was also Matt with another buddy of his, but then he had to step away. Their first thing was September 2021. So they're coming up on 3 years.
Nice. Good for them. 5K subs. Look at that.
And obviously, like ours, you know, they have views that fluctuate. Like they have a video from 9 days ago that's 17,000 views, but they also have one talking about long legs that's like, 419 views kind of thing. So it's
Yeah.
like, and that's not a comment one way or the other. It's just,
Yeah.
YouTube's a fickle bitch, as we've come to learn, and
It's
it
Yeah.
ebbs and flows. But I was just thinking about like us slowly but surely reaching that 100 subscriber milestone, because I remember them doing just like a little Instagram post being like, hey, we hit 100 subs and whatever, and that's cool.
How would you guys feel about pivoting and like changing the concept of the show?
I don't know if I ever want to change the show, but I definitely think about maybe expanding and doing like different things under the umbrella. Like the more that time goes on, the more I think about wanting to do either maybe like video essays. And recently I was talking to Varsha's buddy Cam about this, because he's a big comic dork. And for the longest time in my life, I've like wanted to do something, let's say comic book focused. It's just I've never really had anybody in my own orbit that I could reliably do it with, because like I know you guys don't really like, you read things when I'm doing it for the show kind of thing, but like you wouldn't necessarily like care as much or have the passion for it. But it's like thinking about like Josh, who worked at the store here in town, him and Cam are like 2 candidates that have come up in my mind recently, especially with us soon to be switching to like a virtual format where it doesn't require us to like be in a spot and you can do it remotely. Like I've had the idea, and nobody better fucking steal this, about like doing a comics only podcast. I think I have, well, you won't steal it because I'm not going to tell it to you. I'll tell you 2 off air. I think I've got a pretty dope name.
What you're talking about? What sounds good as like a separate podcast? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like I don't think it would make sense to put it under Wildly Adequate. You should do like the name that you came up with. Start a new channel under that name and make your videos there.
That I go back and forth on, of like, do I want to separate it out into like a sister channel and its own thing, or do I want to make, not that this is like, I feel like I'm talking about it like we're some like actual conglomerate or like a podcast channel like that actually has to worry about these things.
But I think what I'm just thinking is like, it would be, I think you'd give it a better chance to like gain traction if it was its own entity, as opposed to like it's tied to something that it doesn't really have any connection to other than the same person made it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something I have to sit and think about. Like I go back and forth on it because our audience is obviously very limited, and I know our audience that we do have, from what I would take a guess on, isn't necessarily an audience that show would be geared towards.
It's more like our viewers are more like friends and family type deal.
Sure, and even the people outside of that, I think, are more coming here. The ones that are for like movies or games on the entertainment side of things. But I would imagine there's also people that come because it's like
Shooting the shit.
oh, it's a shooting the shit, or it's like a game. You know, they're playing a game like a Family Feud or a trivia thing, or it's like they're talking about like a political thing or something interesting, like a conspiracy theory thing, or like the secret society thing Malcolm had a couple weeks ago. Like, I imagine the people that are coming for this show, and I don't think they would necessarily care about this other thing I'm thinking of potentially doing. But then I think about it in that sense of like, do I want to split it out? Do I keep it under the same umbrella? Because then I also think of like, well, if I keep it under the same umbrella, and let's say, for example, it does better than this show, like Wildly Adequate,
I think it would, not just because I think it would because when you have a specific topic, then you reach those people who love that topic, and you're more likely to get like quicker views and like dedicated fan base, as opposed to like, oh, I don't really know what this is about. It could be about anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I think niche works sometimes.
Well, and so my thing with that is like, let's say, for example, it did better traction than this show. My thought on it too is then I like that because there's a non-zero number of people that I think, and I think it's, let me put it this way. If I had a comic show on Wildly Adequate, the number of people that are currently watching Wildly Adequate that would get siphoned off into also watching that, I think is very close to zero.
Yeah.
Whereas if I went the other way and it was a comic show I had on the channel that was, let's say, doing better numbers or like more popular than our sort of flagship here, I think there's a higher number non-zero that people watching the comic thing would get siphoned off into checking out this show.
Sure.
You know? So I think about it in that sense of like,
I think we should get going, by the way.
yeah, we should probably skedaddle here because it's
9:40.
9:37. So this will be a chat for further things. We're getting into the weeds here. Anyways, maybe you get a new show eventually. Maybe it's on a different channel. Maybe you get nothing and you just get this. Take it or leave it. I don't fucking know. But anyways, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Please continue to like, share, subscribe. Like we said, we're on the road to 100 subs here. And that's it. We hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.